very excited because now we actually have, continuing the e-commerce trend, we're going to have a terrific panel coming out. And these are people that have all been really inspirational in the European and American e-commerce space. So we're going to hear from, obviously, one of the biggest private sales site in France, and no, it's not Roundtable. We have one of the biggest people in the kind of luxury space, so you guys will discover who that is. Somebody who's doing an incredible job in the furniture space, and last but not least, a kind of innovative model in online, offline, leveraging community. It's almost like taking the Tupperware model and reshaping it for our generation. So let's please have a warm welcome for our upcoming panel. So we will have Thierry Petit from Showroomprivé. We will have Kathleen Mitchell from Stella Dot, and we will have David Lindsay from Farfetch, and last but not least, we will have Ning Li from Made.com. Hey guys, great to have you all with us. So I gave a really quick intro of everyone and kind of why you're all here, because obviously you're very inspirational in the e-commerce space and kind of revolutionary in your own sense. But I'd love for each of you to kind of introduce yourselves a bit more. Thierry, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, I mentioned that we were going to have a leading private sales site, not Roundtable. Tell us, Showroomprivé, for those people who think it might be under the radar, it's not, doing $500 million in sales this year, is that correct?
Yeah, it's $500 million of sales.
Yeah.
It's a company that I create with a partner coming from the wholesale business in 2006. For my part, I've been running some business in internet space since like more than 15 years now. And with a mission providing, helping digital mom to have access to great brands at a great price in an entertaining format, while partnering with brand in order to propose a quality channel to sell our stock. And we combine either growth and profitability since inception, with 40% of growth this year. It's $500 million of sales, 500 million. And we sold 30% of our share to Accel partner in 2010. And since when we are much more global and we develop our brand in Europe.
So being much more global means how many employees and how many countries?
Yeah, 8 countries. Basically Spain, Portugal, Italy, Poland, Netherlands, Belgium, UK, and France for sure. That counts for more than still 80% of our business. And we focus a lot on the fashion industry, especially because we strive to cater the needs of the digital mom, and then we try to propose to our consumer as a brand coming from designer brand, like Contrat Cotonnier, for example, to mass market brand, like Desigual. And mobile is something disrupting our business with more than 50% of sale at this time, which is awesome and something interesting in the way that the consumer is changing.
Terrific. Well, that's Showroomprivé. Kathleen, I'd love for you to tell us a bit about Stella Dot. I think I briefly mentioned that it's kind of like Tupperware model reshaped for our generation. I don't know if I did it justice. Obviously, you guys have been here since, is it like in 3 years that you guys have been in Europe now? So tell us a bit about Stella Dot.
Right. Well, Stella Dot, we're a mission-driven business, and our mission is to provide every woman with the means to style her own life. So be it from shopping at a trunk show or online for our jewelry and accessories, our irresistible jewelry and accessories that you can shop without glass cases, or becoming a stylist and launching your own flexible fashion business and doing that without glass ceilings. So we launched in Europe 3 years ago. Stella Dot was actually founded by an incredible entrepreneur, Jessica Herron, starting in the Bay Area. And we have offices in San Bruno, we have our design studios in New York, and our European headquarters are in London. So we launched in Europe 3 years ago, and we have now 3,000 stylists, which is what we call our independent entrepreneurs, and it's going tremendously well.
Terrific. And just for people who maybe aren't as familiar with Stella and Dot, these independent entrepreneurs, tell us a little bit more about how this model actually works.
Okay, so they sell through at-home trunk shows, but also online. And we provide all the back end. So essentially, they get a business in a box, as well as we provide them with their own personal website, training, everything they need to get started. So really what we're doing is we're reinventing the home-based business in a modern, stylish, fun way. And they earn commission between 25 to 35% of what they sell. And then also for the hostesses who host a show, say, at home or even online, they earn product credits. So we've got a lot of evangelists, and we've got we've created this fierce loyalty amongst our community, and this is really our advertising. But that's the main thing, is to provide income for these women who want to work in a flexible way.
Terrific. David, I think you are probably the most technical person on this panel. Previously at Net-a-Porter and today at Farfetch as kind of the tech lead. I'd love to hear from you a little bit. I know you guys have over 2,000 designers that you guys are working with at Farfetch. Tell us about the product. What do you guys do for people who don't know?
We have about 900 to 1,000 doors, probably for some of the world's sexiest luxury fashion boutiques. And what Farfetch does is we take all of their inventory and we amalgamate it centrally, and we sell it centrally, and we take care of all the marketing, we take care of all the payments, the refunds, not that people send any stuff back ever, but we do have a few refunds. We take all the kind of, and the online marketing is a very big facet of what we do. But basically, we bring the customers to the boutiques. And I think you talked about your mission. I mean, we have multiple missions. One of our missions, I think, is to try and preserve the uniqueness of these stores. So we felt that a lot of the online space starts to feel a little bit samey, and a lot of the luxury boutiques around the world have their own voice and their own way of presenting the product. They do their own buy, and we try and help them preserve that. And yes, and my mission personally is to acquire shoes, great shoes at retail discounts.
Let's see your shoes. Those are great shoes. I don't know if you guys can see these. These are terrific.
These are just because it's Paris. I thought I would wear Louboutin. So there we go.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Had to get them in somewhere.
Great, and so then we have Ning. And Ning, previously, prior to Made, obviously, you were at MyFab, so you've got a great kind of experience in the furniture space. You guys are essentially cutting out the middleman. Tell us a little bit about Made.
Sure. So Made.com is about providing high-end luxury furniture at a fraction of what they should be for the customers. So actually, the idea of Made.com itself didn't really come from my previous company, but came rather by accident. So when I exited from my first company, I had a little bit of money, and I was looking to make my flat very nice. And I was looking, I had my eye on something that costed around £3,000 for a leather Chesterfield sofa, and I was actually about to buy it, crazy price tag. And I was just about to buy it before I realized that this sofa was made by a friend of mine who I grew up with in the south of China. So I come from China, and from a town that's actually manufacturing town of furniture, one of the biggest in China. And of course, by curiosity, I asked him, hey, mate, this £3,000 sofa, how much are you selling that for? And he told me $300. And of course, that was a no-brainer, and I was very tempted, and I obviously bought from him, but I thought there's a bigger opportunity out there. And when we looked around, we realized that although internet has democratized a lot of industry, fashion with like Showroomprivé and even jewelry now with you guys, furniture remains largely a very opaque and slow-moving sector. So we thought there's an opportunity to build a brand that's very strong by connecting manufacturers, designers, and customers together, therefore cutting out effectively the middleman and give people the best deal possible on the market, not by discounting, but by making a supply chain much, much more efficient. So as of today, we are just 4 years old. We are still a baby. We are 170 people based in London, Notting Hill, and today we are selling in the UK, but also we are since last year present in France, in Italy. A few weeks ago, we just opened in the Netherlands, and we are launching in Germany in a few months' time, hopefully.
Great, and I'm wondering, do we see products on your site that are worth $3,000 pounds and are actually being sold at 300? Is that the kind of discount we're talking about?
No, because we take a margin, of course, and we take a very honest margin on it. But the point is, I guess the issue of e-commerce in general, and in a lot of sense, in the traditional sense of e-commerce term, is that when people buy and resell products, and when it's the same product somewhere else, usually it's a margin or service war. And at the end of the time, everything you do costs you money. And in what we do here, we try to differentiate ourselves by products. So product you find on Made, they're designed by us in collaboration with the designers, but they're very different from something else that you would be able to find on the high street.
Great. So, and I think I know that you guys are releasing a good number of new products per week as well.
Yeah, so traditional retailers usually think in seasons. They think spring season, autumn collection, and twice a year usually. And they release huge collections, right? They will say, this table is very nice, let's buy 500 of those, chuck in the warehouse, and supply the stores around the country. And then what happens next? They will pray that this table actually sells well. When it doesn't sell, well, they are in trouble. In our case, we don't really do twice a year thing because it doesn't really make sense for customers anymore. We do it twice a week, 2 new collections every week. And it's about test and learn. It's really the web mentality. You launch a new item, it works, perfect, keeps it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, just put it out, right? It's really a very quick fashion of product development, heavily inspired from fashion, but we are the only one doing that for the furniture industry.
Great. We're going to come back to that in just a minute. David, I'd actually like to ask you kind of a different question, maybe a bit similar in a sense, but in the luxury space, I almost feel like luxury and online don't go together. What has been, from your experience, I just feel like when we think about e-commerce, we think about Amazon and everything is on Amazon and you can get it at a discount price because it's online. How do luxury brands feel about the online space and experience?
I would like to say it's changed massively in the last 10 years, but it kind of has to a certain extent, but there are still huge swathes of it where there's still this idea that online is a pile them high, sell them cheap approach. And I think so before Farfetch, I was with Net-a-Porter, and one of the biggest challenges that Napa faced was persuading brands that selling online could be a luxury proposition. And I think for the luxury industry, what we tried to do was make the service side just phenomenal. So in order to be, I suppose, to be accepted as being as good as the brand stores themselves, we kind of had to go above and beyond. So we had to have better service, faster delivery, and better wrapping, and better photography, and all the stuff that the brands were sort of doing, we had to do much, much better. And that's kind of continued. And I think actually what we've ended up doing is sort of raised the bar a little bit for quite a lot of other industries. So there's a wider acceptance that online is a good thing for brands to get involved with. But some of them, I think, largely the panic at the moment is well, panic's maybe too strong a word, but the fear at the moment is around losing control of the brand identity, because a lot of the big French brands who've got hundreds of years of history, Italian brands hundreds of years of history, and they feel that opening that up in some way is a very risky strategy. And it's trying to engage with their consumers online seems like quite a strange thing. They've never really done that before. And it's persuading them, I suppose, that if they're not involved in the conversation, it's happening anyway, whether they like it or not. So they might as well kind of contribute to it and kind of grow that as more of an ecosystem. So there's certainly a greater acceptance now, sort of 10 years later, but it's still,
still an uphill battle.
Still a few. We've got more work we can do, certainly.
Thierry, I'm wondering if that's something that you see as well. Do you see a lot of luxury brands kind of struggling in the online with the whole, putting the products online and selling that way, or is private sales kind of a safer model for them?
Yeah, I mean, luxury brands are not fitting very well with our business that are very mass market, and we reach millions of consumers in Europe. So, I mean, luxury brand needs some brand experience. When you want a Chanel handbag, you go in the shop, and then you have all the experience on a Farfetch, and you can have this kind of experience. But these kind of brands at 70% of discounts, it's not working very well. They have all that brand got their own inventory channel to sell. Excess inventory channel, like their sell to their best consumer or their employees, but not on a mass market channel. So we are much more a partner for a mass market brand, and or creator brands in order to be known by millions of people too, because we can act as a media. And with 2 million visits a day, we can act as a media for a new brand, so which is interesting for some brand.
Okay, so taking luxury aside, I'm wondering also how important is an offline experience still, given how much e-commerce has kind of, grown and changed, and we have a lot of experiences that we can now replicate online. I think Kathleen, probably Stella Dot is the perfect example where offline is actually still incredibly important. Tell us about how much does that drive for you in terms of conversion?
Most of it, frankly, and because our stylists drive all of our business. But the fact of the matter is we provide a forum for women how women want to shop. Right, and the trunk show, which is a style event or a pop-up shop in someone's living room, can be an online event as well. So we basically allow people to shop how they want it. So in person, you get to try on lots of jewelry without glass cases, or we then, each unique trunk show has a URL that the stylist can share on social media and build sales in that way. But ultimately, it's delightful, and it's very seamless for us, because any consumer email that goes out from Stella and Dot will always have the stylist picture on it, will always have a personal message. So for us, it's about offline, but the online is just part of that whole styling experience.
So I'm wondering now, because you've mentioned that you can actually do your trunk show online, essentially, with all these different social platforms. How many people are actually opting to do the in-person? I know it's nice and everything, but you probably reach fewer people that way. You maybe don't reach people that are abroad. What do you actually see as a trend, in terms of these types of events?
Most of our stylist business, and I would say between 80 to 90% of it, is done through the core business, which is trunk show, right? But on all of those sales are then filtered through what's their lounge, but then also they do get offline orders. So it's pretty much the same, because we create this online and offline experience, which is very, very similar.
And Ning, you guys also have you have an offline business that actually, you told me, doesn't drive a huge traffic necessarily. You don't have a huge need for it, but you do have some showrooms. Tell me about this.
Well, offline it's not just important; it's essential for the brand, because we are believer that as a company you can't really exist without the offline world, especially in the products category we are in. It's about buying 500 or 800 pounds sofas on a website that you can't touch and feel. It's still a big barrier for people. So what we realized, and actually what we've done this year, is that we uploaded the entire customer database on a Google map. Not sure it's legal, but we did it, and we realized, just for ourselves, not publicly. We realized that in almost every street of London, there's one maid customer. And so we stole the idea of Stella and Dot, and we thought somehow if just some of those customers can be our showrooms, and that would be amazing. We will have the biggest showroom network of London, right? And so we launched this program, which is called Unboxed. And today, as a customer, you come to a maid, you're not sure about the quality. Well, it doesn't exist in France yet, but it's already live in the UK. So you can see this table on a beautiful, product page, description, etc. But you can also see on a Google map customer that would have bought the same table around you. And you can get in touch with the customer, and you can say, hey, how's this table? And if the customer wishes, and I think that's the next step, you may even be able to come in to the customer home and touch and feel it, and transact later on. I think that's going to be a essential step for our company, because touch and feel remains, and the trust as well remains the barrier number one of purchases. So
let me just get this straight. You want to turn people's homes into showrooms?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. I love it. That's like the new model for the sharing economy. But yeah, I think if we look at some other kind of, this is very revolutionary, but I think one topic that I really wanted to discuss was actually with Thierry, with the model of private sales. I think obviously we've had a lot of press around Showroomprive, what happened in the US, and people have started saying, oh, the model doesn't work there, it's not the right model for the US. I'd love to hear what you think about this.
Yeah, you know that we are there is a small war between us and Showroomprive, since we are doing great business with brand. And my vision is not the same, even if I will stay humble because I don't have any money and power to go there. But I think that to go to US with 3 weeks of delivery time, to go in US with only French brands, and to go in US without any consideration for online marketing, it makes a big difficulty. And there is room to do private sale in US. And I don't have the same impression at all that Jacques-Antoine Grandjean, when he said that the market doesn't fit with a private sale model. Look at Zulily, look at Rulala, Guild, Idili, or Beyond the Rack in Canada. They are all doing billions of sales. So there is a model, but you need to adapt your model to this market.
So what does it actually mean to make a good private sales model for the US then? What was not adapted well to the US market?
Yeah, I mean, the delivery time. Basically, the US consumer is much more mature, and it's more complicated to wait for more than 2 weeks, which is something complicated there. And so in Europe, we win a lot of market share since we have launched our 24-hour delivery time. And due to that, as the consumer is becoming more mature, and it's now it's okay for having a brand and a price now, and it's some good delivery time. And if you are able to sell a great brand at 70% off in 1 day, there is no more constraint. And that's, to go there in the US, you need to adapt your model and not only focus on the same model as you do in Europe. This is my vision, but... So
it's really about delivery time, scaling that down, and then we get it right, and the brands.
And brand.
And I'm wondering, because obviously I don't think a lot of these businesses, well, Kathleen's business obviously from the US, but otherwise you guys are not yet that active in the US. And another market that I'm noticing is a little kind of hazy is Germany. I think you guys are going soon to Germany. Are you Showroomprivé not yet in Germany?
We will launch in April.
You will both launching there soon, so definitely you should think up about that. But I'm wondering, what is and you are actually in Germany.
Second market in Europe is Germany.
Okay, so I'd love to know, why Germany always kind of gets this hesitation, I feel?
I mean, the main thing in Germany is to do profitability. To do growth, it's not a problem because German consumer is totally connected, but the main problem of this market is a return rate, which could go till 50, 60%, which is really difficult to achieve some profitability. And this is an habit coming from the 60s with a seat like Quell, and they say to the consumer, okay, let's buy 3 shoes, and then you return 2, and they keep this kind of usage. So that's the main problem for me.
Kathleen, I'm wondering, since you are in Germany, if you can follow up.
We are in Germany, and I must say, I mean, the German market's going fantastically well. I mean, it's smaller than the UK because of our social selling model, we rely on connections from other markets. So obviously the UK had the same language, so it just spread like wildfire. Germany for us, because it is a social selling model, and because even though we're not bound by geography, so our stylists can sell all around the country, and soon they'll be able to sell all over Europe. But the thing for us is because in Germany there's so many major cities, it's a vast, big market. It's harder to gain traction than in France, which we've just launched and is doing tremendously well, because you get that core business thumping in the major city, just like we did in London as well, and it really goes from wildfire from there. But we've got patience. You know, Germany we're finding it's not, an unprofitable market, but our model is quite different though as well. So our investment, we aim to be profitable everywhere we go.
David, I'm wondering, does Farfetch have a complicated relationship with Germany?
We have our German site, our German language site should launch, and I think it's February or March next year. We've been focusing the last part of this year on China and Russia and Japan as being our foreign language markets, and with proper character sets and fully multiple language sites. We've got Korea launching next year, and Germany. So it's a focus for us, and there is this sort of traditional anticipation that if you sell in Germany, you're going to have 50% returns and payment on delivery. Cash on delivery is the other one, and they have this crazy German payment mechanisms. But once you're over that, it's fine. And there are there's a few people exhibiting here with sizing technologies and other ways of actually countering the returns rate. I think very few people are going to have your ability to do the direct social selling. So that's a great way of conquering that. I also want to say, in our defense, we are pretty big in America. We have.
That's true.
We do. I think it's, if not our biggest market, it's our second biggest market, and we sell to and from there. So there you go. Just clarifying that one. But Germany is a big. It's historically for the luxe fashion consumer, Germany is a big market. They just always seem to get left behind.
All right, well, I guess we'll have to follow up with Showroomprivé and Made to see how the German launches go. I'm also kind of wondering, just because we've seen so many people try in the social space, and I feel like social commerce and personalization of experiences, and it's very, very trendy, and I'm wondering, is anybody really doing it well? But I know that, David, you have a really interesting opinion on personalization of experiences online. Do you feel that they're genuine?
I think the social selling stuff for me is phenomenal if we can get it to work. One of the big examples we use at the moment is China and WeChat, who have, they've just owned that stuff. And now you basically, if you start a proper website in China, you have to have a WeChat commerce integration. And I think largely as that stuff comes further and further west, we're going to have to adopt it. And it's actually quite good fun to do. And I think it forces us as technologists to try and open up platforms and do other interesting things. But the personalization stuff for me is fundamental, and is how we can potentially, it's how we grow markets, is trying to speak to people individually. The whole point of Farfetch is to try and preserve identity and give people this kind of ability to express themselves without having to be entirely mainstream. And I think the more we personalize, obviously, the better we get. And we're not amazing at it at the moment, but we're trying very, very hard. And it's a big focus for us again. 2015, it's the year of personalization and Germany. Personalization in Germany, year 2015. German personalization.
Well, I'm wondering also, just because I know, Thierry, you mentioned this in your intro, it's impossible to do an e-commerce panel and not talk about, these types of things, mobile, data, socialization. I'd love to come back to mobile now, because you mentioned that you're doing more than half your business on mobile. Tell us, do you guys have something special? Is there a different experience on mobile that you guys are seeing, or is it just the people are going for the exact same experience online?
Yeah, we invested a lot in mobile since 4 years now, with more than 5 million of downloads. And our business model fit very well with mobile, because you find the emergency and the pleasure that fit very well with the device. We have tried to adapt every experience, creating a new experience for each device in order to increase the conversion rate and then to adapt in each country. And so we have invested in television. In some countries like Netherlands, we are only on app. And so we see some trends, and conversion rate is increasing, consumer is more mature on the app, and it creates more engagement too. So it's something that will help us to drive more loyalty with your consumer, more purchase. And in addition to that, something that is really interesting, it helps us to drive new consumer, and especially the younger one. And with the store, with all the marketing you can do on the app environment, you can attract some new consumer, which is interesting too.
I'm wondering, I'm sure you all have dedicated mobile strategies. Ning, I'm wondering, how big is that in furniture?
Yeah, also more than half, which is crazy. You think about buying a couch on your little iPhone, but people do that today. I think what's even more surprising for us is to see the speed at which mobile traffic increased compared to other devices. 2 or 3 years ago, it was 10%, suddenly became 20%, and basically every Christmas, it doubles. So we wonder what's going to be this year at Christmas. But
we look forward to finding those numbers out.
You can say that's like Ning's law. Every Christmas, your mobile traffic doubles, isn't it?
We will wait for that. We're running just towards the end of this panel, but I'd like to conclude with hopefully something very visionary from all of you. We already got from Ning that everybody's home is going to become a showroom pretty soon. I'd like to know, what are you guys expecting from e-commerce? What are some things that we should be looking out for, trends that you think are going to hit us soon? Is 3D going to be big? Are we going to expect something big in retail? Thierry, I'll let you start.
Yeah, at this time our main focus are on the globalization. And so I think that to create now in France and in Europe, to create a solid business, you need to be global, and in Europe especially. And it's really complicated to develop a business in Europe due to a lot of many things. You need to readapt for each country, your payment method, your language, your marketing acquisition model. But if we succeed to be strong in Europe, then as the most desirable fashion brands in the world are between France, Spain, and Italy, we can go in another country. So that's the game we are playing.
Great. And how about just in terms of the whole e-commerce space? Where is there an opportunity for the future?
Yeah, I mean, to global, mobile, and probably I think that the retail part of the e-commerce need to stay very important in our business, because we do e-commerce, but the word commerce is bigger than the E in the world. So, and I've seen so many business pure player who have no consideration for the retail, and this is probably the most important part, especially between the mobile will create a link between the offline and online, and the world will be more, mixed, and that's why the retail will probably be the most insight for us.
Kathleen, I know you're a fan of the retail space, and you think there's quite a bit we can do there.
I am. I mean, I'm a shopper, and frankly, God bless you all, because you are delivering a very customer-centric experience, all of you. And I think that's what all of us in e-commerce and just in retail in general need to think about, is using the data that we have and simply walking the store and getting to know our customers. And as a shopper, I think it's this combining the online and offline experience. And I dream for, Amazon, the Apple Store, and Selfridges to have a baby.
Yeah, they really should. Maybe it's something in the realm of Farfetch.
I think you could be right.
David, I'll let you conclude if you have some visionary idea for the e-commerce space.
So yes, I think that I've always been fascinated by the idea of the sharing economy and us being able to share things around, and that's the one thing that the luxe industry has been very bad historically at doing. And we had this term that we use at Farfetch, but more as a concept of something else which exists outside Farfetch, really, which is the Internet of Lovely Things, which is it's like the Internet of Things, but we don't allow anything that's tawdry, like fridges or microwaves or that sort of horrible stuff. It's just gorgeous, lovely things. And the idea that basically we connect, it's a kind of social graphing for clothes and for outfits and for the way people live their lives. And from a fashion perspective, what it requires is all of the luxury brands working together and sharing their data and being very, very open. And as you can imagine, I think that's my next 10-year uphill battle. But I think we've got something there. And if we kind of don't do that, then you're on the risk of other industries taking over, the more mass industries, the more mass fashion outlets being able to do things faster, respond better to the consumer needs, and ultimately it's about us being able to do what the customer wants us to do and try to keep up with them. And we need to, at the moment we're sort of lagging behind, okay, but we sort of need to leap ahead a little bit and prepare the whole back office stuff ready for whatever the consumers can throw at us in the next 10 years. So that's the Internet of Lovely Things for me is the future, and watch the space if we can.
Great, that's a very customer-centric vision that we'll conclude on. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.